holidays are in full swing, which means people look to celebrate with their friends and family. But what about those dealing with addictions? It can be a difficult time for those who may worry about their sobriety, all on top of the usual seasonal stresses. Well, joining us now is Nirmala Raniga, the founder and executive director of the Paradise Valley Healing Center. Nirmala, thank you so much for joining us today.
Merry Christmas, Emily, and Merry Christmas to all our viewers.
Merry Christmas to you too. Let's start off with some tips for people trying to maintain their sobriety during the holiday season.
Yes, Emily, this is can be a very challenging time for people who are in recovery, people who have addiction, mental health issues. I mean, we heard such beautiful messages from the Prime Minister and from the Premier about the connection, the community, and being around family. But for some people, especially if you have any childhood issues, childhood trauma, this is the time those actually emotions really can be a trying time for people. And we see a lot of relapses around this time of the year. The National Institute of Drug Abuse talks about 40 to 60% people do have relapses, and at this time of the year it can be greater. And one of the first things I would suggest to people would be to, before you show up to any event, I mean, we do get invited to parties, to families, is to do visualization. And visualization is really a process where you take a few minutes before you show up to any event and close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and actually visualize yourself at the event. And this will allow you, when you show up there, to reduce your anxiety because you've seen who the people were there, and if there was any drinks, alcohol, and possible triggers. And so when you get there, actually you're a little prepared. And the second thing I would really recommend people is to plan ahead. Planning is so important, especially if you're going to show up at a place where there's a lot of food. People with food addiction can also get triggered big time. How do you cope with those is through planning, bringing a friend with you or somebody who supports your well-being and mental health, that if you are struggling or if you need to exit early, you're able to do that at that time. And one of the other recommendations is having a being mindful of the triggers. Mm-hmm. So making a list or journaling of all those things that can trigger you. One of the things we can't control is people, places, and situations. So, celebrations can be a trigger. And, if you have memories of somebody at an event that has caused you grief, this might play out when you're in that space. So journal that and figure out, have a plan what you will do if you run into those people. And how you're going to manage your emotions.
And Nirmala, I've only got about 45 seconds here, but I just really wanted to ask you, a lot of people really do struggle during the time between Christmas and New Year. So quickly, do you have any advice for those of us who are able to make it through Christmas, but as well struggle to get through the New Year as well?
I think the most important thing one can do is reach out for support. There's 12-step meetings, there's community groups, there's online support. Reach out to somebody you trust that cares about your well-being, and don't be afraid, don't fear of relapse. Relapse is part of a recovery journey. So do take that moment to reach out for the appropriate support. Even there's mental health crisis lines for these situations.
All right, Nirmala Raniga, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, and happy holidays and a safe one to everyone.
To you too.